G'day viewers, DanMill23. Welcome to Flat Earth Bible. This episode's entitled The Unknown Hebrew Tool. Alright, just a quick recap. So far we've been talking about chug, which is the Hebrew word for circle. The first time we investigated circle was in Isaiah 40:22, where God sits above the circle of the earth. The second brief investigation we did was Proverbs 8:27. Where wisdom is witnessing the creation of the cosmos by God, and wisdom says, I was there when he set a compass upon the face of the deep. Now, as we talked about briefly in the previous episode, the deep is the primordial ocean, the pre-existing ocean, which will get a video all of its own in due course. Upon the face really means surface, and where it says he set, that could also be rendered as he inscribed, and where it says compass, well, that's just the word chug, which is circle. And so a translation, perhaps a more poetic translation, dynamic translation of Proverbs 8:27 is, I was there when he, God, inscribed a circle on the surface of the water. What I want to do now is have a look at Hebrew tools that might relate to geometry and relate to building and measuring. Specifically, I want to give a final bit of evidence for the case that chug means circle, and I also want to give a bit of evidence about the orientation of the circle of the earth. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so we're going to investigate this some Hebrew tools. So we're going to start with Isaiah 44:13. This is the King James version, and there's lots of thiths going on. So I'm going to try and stumble my way through this verse. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule. He marketh it out with a line. He fitteth it with planes, and he marketh it out with a compass, and marketh it after the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. Okay, what we'll do now is we will go and investigate what all of that means. Now, first of all, we have rendered the carpenter, and this is the craft. This is the Hebrew word craftsman and wood. So the wood craftsman stretched out. I've had enough of thiths. Stretched out, which is the word natar here, and this is the same word from Isaiah 40:22, where God is stretching out the heavens. His rule, this is the kav, and his rule is a measuring cord. It's rope or string that's used for measuring. He marketh it out. Ta'ah means to draw or trace, to mark. Okay, that's fair enough. With a line. Now, if you just read the King James Version, you're not going to get what's going on. You have to go deeper than that. And I submit to you that the King James Version is actually pretty inaccurate when it comes to this, the rendering of this passage. The carpenter stretched out his rule, his measuring cord. He marked out with a line. This is Sered, and really, if you go and check out lexicons and commentaries on the Bible, with a line is not really the sense of what is trying to be described here. Sered has another meaning, which is red ochre, or not red ochre, it could be yellow ochre, I don't know, but ochre. I just remember it because it's got the word red in it. The carpenter stretched out his rule, marking it out with red ochre. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. The next one, again, you're going to be confused if you're just basing it off King James only. He fitteth it with planes. What does that mean? He fitted it with planes? Has it got wings? No. What's going on here is he fitteth is asar, and asar means to do work or produce or make. So really, what he's saying here is the carpenter did work, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. It with planes. What this means here is chisels. It's described here as a scraping tool. A plane in carpentry is also a sort of a scraping tool. So he does work with the chisels. He does work with the scraping tool. Then it starts up again. He marketh it out to R. We've seen that already. And here's the big one, with the compass. And the word here is Me-Chug-ah. And if you have a look inside here, you will see the word chug, which is the word for circle. And so what we're talking about here is the circle drawing tool, the Me-Chug-ah. So next we're going to have a look at what could a Me-Chug-ah be, and what could a stretched line, a stretched ochre line be as well. Okay guys, so next question, what is a Me-Chug-ah? The short answer is nobody knows. Nobody knows. But I wanted to find out what it could possibly be. We already know that it's got the word chug in it for circle, so it's a circle tool. It was used, at least in one example, for measuring and something to do with sculpting. So that led me to sculpting websites, see what I could find there. And I started to come across the idea of calipers. One sculpting website that was selling calipers said this about calipers. Calipers are one of the sculptor's most useful tools. When needing exact measurements from life models, a good caliper will give an exacting and accurate measurement. So the next question is, when were calipers invented? You know, what's the earliest set of calipers in the world? The earliest set of calipers in the world that I could find date back to 300 BC. And I found inscribed on an Egyptian temple, Obo, during the Ptolemaic period, this picture, and it's a bunch of medical tools, and it includes tongs and calipers. Okay, so 300 BC we had calipers. A Me-Chug-ah could be a set of calipers. They don't have to be made of metal. They could be hinged wood with a little hinge on the top, or they could be as simple as two pegs with string in between. Now this leads us to the other tool that we were investigating, which is the stretched measuring line. The stretched measuring line is used when setting out the foundations for things. Now I know this because I used to set out the foundations for playgrounds. I used to make playgrounds, right, in a previous profession. Now what we would do is you would consult the map, and then you would stretch out lines between pegs to mark out where different things were going to be going. One thing that we did use was a chalk line. A chalk line is where you stretch a line against a flat surface, and the line itself is dusted in chalk. So this stretched line close to the ground, say, is taut, and you pluck it. You pluck it like a guitar or something or other a couple of times, and it leaves the chalk sort of bounces off the string and lands on the ground, and it leaves you a nice straight line over a long distance. Okay, so what we were talking about here is constructing lines and measuring and constructing circles on flat surfaces. This brings us to the next Bible quote, which is Job 38, 4 and 5. And I'll read them now. Job 38, 4. This is God talking. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. And 38:5, who hath laid the measurement thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? So here we have God stretching the line upon the surface of the earth, the foundation of the earth. And we also have, and we saw before, wisdom watching God inscribing a circle on the surface of the waters. So this is what I want to take away from this. We are talking about constructing on a flat surface in both cases. Alright, so I'll let you draw your own conclusions from what you've seen so far. However, this investigation won't be complete until we've had a look at what believers think. So please join me in the next episode entitled The Believer Strikes Back.